take him to the gym.
Mhm.
All right,
Sorry.
God.
Well,
You're good.
that's weird. I wonder why it was signed into my different email. Anyways, let's get started with this one. Share. Okay, there we go.
Are we doing 217? I mean 210?
We are starting with the 104 first.
104. Okay.
Yeah. So this is the study guide that I kind of made up based off of the quiz I took. I try not to give everything away, but these are the things that you should for sure study for sure. So we have speech, which is the oral expression of language, right? And then you have phonology, the study of speech sounds and the rules that determine how sounds can be sequenced into syllables and words. Then you have phonological competence, and it's the ability to recognize and produce the individually distinct sounds or phonemes that make up a language. Then you have phonotactics, whatever. It's the rule that specify which sounds can be placed in which order in a given language. So an example that I really liked was like the R sound is but you can't have the RM sound be together in a word because that's just gibberish. Then you got phonemes, which is a speech sound. And then your articulators, it is your oral cavity and how sound is produced is through the articulators. You got phonological processes. As a result of their immature structures and ability, children often produce simplified forms of words or sounds in words. Things that you should know about phonological processes is rules children use to make production that fit to their phonological understanding and abilities. So it's what the child understands on how the word is produced and how they produce it. So a child might have trouble with the sh sound, so they might, reduce that sh sound into something else, like a Z sound. They are simplified adult forms. They describe children's production, and then they're typically in young children, so this should be done by the age of 4. And then speech can exist a part of language, and vice versa. Language can exist a part of speech. For IPA, there are 44 phonemes in the English language, which that is something that we should already know since, it was in last, this was in last semester. But yeah, I hope we do learn more about the IPA, the English IPA. Be really cool to be able to read. But yeah, that's all. This is what you guys should be studying for. I try not to like specify which ones, but I'm just gonna give you an idea. So then 210. This is what I have so far. Let me know if anything's wrong. I kind of did this last minute yesterday and I didn't even get to check, double check my work on this. So what is the most important role of the larynx? It is a protective function. 3 ways that it protects us from foreign objects is coughing, throat clearing, and abdominal fixation. 3 items that determine the process of vibration. You have elasticity, stiffness, and inertia.
Inertia.
Inertia. Oh gosh, I said that totally wrong. My
No, you're
apologies.
good.
I do apologize if you're watching this at home and I am pronouncing everything wrong. Let's just say these are all foreign words for me. And then you have the 3 types of vocal registers, which I'm not even going to bother to pronounce all those. And then, so for this one, the 3 elements, this was in the last slide of the PowerPoint, and it didn't have specifically 3, it had like a whole bunch. So I just picked like the 3 easy ones that I would remember. But there's more than this. If you want to look at it again, it's at the end of the like the last slide in the PowerPoint. But if someone has something else, or if you know exactly what the 3 elements that she's asking for, let me know. And then you have the definitions all here. Again, I just got all these from the PowerPoint. You have a cycle, which is 1 point of the vibratory pattern to the same point again, and then a period, which is the time to complete 1 cycle of vibration. Hertz, which is the cycles per second. Decibel, so we learned decibel from last semester during the I believe it was the module about learning about different types of hearing disorders. It's perceived as loudness, so decibels, I think for this one is like a capital D with the uppercase B. And then you have the sound level meter, measures intensity of sound pressure emanating from a source. Fundamental frequencies, frequency of vibration of vocal folds, voice, vocal jitter, and then vocal shimmer. This one, vocal jitter, is a cycle of differences in vocal fold vibration, and then shimmer is a cycle of differences in intensity. Phonogram shows interaction between intensity and frequency for an individual, and then attack is the start of phonation. So it's adducting the vocal folds to move them to the airstream. And then you have sustained phonation, vocal folds held in a fixed position in the airstream. Termination is abduct the vocal folds. Intensity, the physical measure of power or pressure ratios. And then phonation, which is voicing. Whistle register, not a mode of phonation, but a produced of turbulence in the edge of the vocal folds. I don't know how to pronounce this word. I'm not gonna try. Refers to elements of prosody. Is that right? Prosody? Prosody?
Mhm.
And then prosody is a system of speech used the very meaning of speech. And then you have the Bernoulli effect, which is what we had to write a paper on. Is it 5 paragraphs or 4 paragraphs?
At least 4. So like you could do 5 paragraphs basically to
Okay.
make it count.
But yeah. And then describe each attack. You have the 3 attacks here. Simultaneous vocal fold adduction on onset of inspiration at the same time. Breathy vocal attack. The start significant airflow before adducting the vocal folds, and then glottal attack. Adduction of vocal folds prior to airflow. If hard, may damage the vocal mechanism. And then this is also need to know, driving force is between 3 to 5 centimeters, H2O for 5 seconds. Pitch range can be increased through vocal training, and it can be reduced by pathology. Does a whisper have voicing? No, voicing occurs during whisper. What are the 2 variation of modal phonation? It's pressed and breathy, and then 2 types of pitch, optimal and habitual. And then the phonation mechanism. Sensitive to physical health of the person, pitch range can be reduced, voice can be weak, and voice can sound rough. But yeah, I am not taking the quiz yet. I'm like I'm gonna take this Sunday. I'm gonna need all weekend to study for this. This is a lot of information. But yeah. And then moving on to the last one. So just letting you know ahead of time, there are only 2 questions
Yeah, I
in-
saw that.
in the quiz. I was not prepared for 2 questions. I was prepared for more. But let's just say what I have here is what you need to know. It's basically just writing, like answering the question, but it's like you're writing a short paragraph of the question. So yeah, you have verbal communication. So verbal communication is address the individuals accordingly, speak clearly, avoid any slang, profanity, be a good listener, be mindful of your nonverbal communication and body language, so your facial expression and body language. And yeah, and then you have your written communication, which is proof of your written language, like proofread your written language carefully to ensure it's free of errors and grammar, spelling. So make sure it's, just like as if you're writing an essay, make sure there's no errors or any spelling errors. Use formality in your written communication. So again, don't use like slang when you're writing or typing. Ensure written content is comprehensible to unfamiliar readers. So basically keep your handwriting neat as much as possible. Use standard forms of medical abbreviation and phonetic notation. So for example, the IPA, obviously you won't write that out. You would use the abbreviation, which is IPA. And then learn from your mistakes. And I feel like learn from your mistakes could also be verbal communication. But yeah. So those are the things to look out for.
Hang on, so the 5 tips are not on the quiz?
No, and that's what I studied the most on. It's not on there. Yeah, I studied the most on the 5 tips. I'm like, oh, I'm gonna get this down. I'm gonna drill this into my brain. Didn't even need it. I was kind of disappointed. I'm like, oh, guess not. But yeah, those are the 2. Just know them if they're in the book. I didn't read the book fully, the chapter, I mean. I didn't read it all the way. So if it's on there, I recommend you read up on that too. I know it's really bad. I didn't finish a chapter. I can't sit down and read for hours at end. But yeah, if there is, I don't know, I don't remember if there is a video on this. I think there is. It's like where he's drawing and like he's explaining everything. Basically like how to have a conversation. I also recommend you watch that video because I think it will help with you understanding verbal communication and written communication. But yeah, that is all. Wow, that was really short. Does anyone have any questions? No?